Hello everyone, this is Ahura and welcome to our BoE meeting review and market reactions. As you know, today it was the central bank's meeting in United Kingdom, the continuing of the central bank's meetings. Earlier today, we had a central bank meeting in Brazil as well, where BCB held the interest rate at 15% as was expected. In United Kingdom also, sorry, in United Kingdom also BoE held the rates at 4% in line with market expectations, but there was a little bit surprise, with a small surprise in a decision and a voting numbers. While market was expecting three votes for cutting the rates by 25 basis points. Four members they voted for rates cut, and five members against six members voted for holding the current rates. The reasons. Maybe it's because of what they explained in the statement. Generally, the central banks believes that the underlying surprises and underlying risks for higher inflation is already controlled. The main inflation movers in United Kingdom was the service sector and the payments, the salaries, and also generally wages. What we can see in recent months that the inflation in the service sector is somehow controlled, is slightly slowing down, and the wages also is not progressing or increasing as before. It is just like several months ago. Generally, we can say that the underlying risks for inflation is somehow controlled, and somehow we can say that inflation is already peaked around 3.8%, 4% in this area. And central banks also expecting the inflation to slightly increase in the next months, in October, November, and December. And maybe the problem, they expect the inflation to be in 2% central bank's target at the end of 2026 and beginning of 2027. That's why they decided to hold the current rates. But with the number of the voters, with the changing between the voters' numbers, we can say that the central bank somehow gives this signal that probably they can cut the rates in the last meeting of the year, maybe in December, probably, and that's the reason that we can say that the market can take this decision as a dovish decision, as a dovish signal to the markets. So generally, the market accepted as a dovish sentence, as a dovish statement, as a dovish decision. Why? Because the numbers of the because of the change between the numbers of the voters in the central banks. So now we can say more members, more policymakers in MPC, Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of England, they think that they have to go towards dovish policies and cut the rates. That's why, let's check the charts. That's why it somehow had a negative reaction on the pound, and the pound slightly eased after the decision, but it was not such a big surprise. That's why we cannot say that, okay, the pound can continue falling down, but generally it will be just like negative mover, I mean, kind of the negative signal for British pound against its crisis. On the other hand, since the decision was a dovish decision and the central bank signaled of the more rates cut probably at the end of the year and the beginning of 2026. So the stocks markets got it as a dovish policy and had a positive reaction to this. As mentioned, generally the stock markets, after 4 or 5 days of lowering, yesterday increased slightly, and generally the overall positive stance in the market, we can say in the UK markets also is continuing to overall the general global stock markets. Somehow the tendency, the general global stock markets environment and a positive environment, but this decision also supported this feeling in the stock market in United Kingdom, London, that okay, the central bank now finally ready to cut the rates and to start this way. However, this decision, for now, they didn't change the rates. That's why, yeah, in our outlook, it can be somehow the dovish decision, but for that, it didn't change. That's why the stock market's reaction also was not such a big reaction, or we can say, okay, now with this decision, the stock market in United Kingdom can move further. However, nothing happened. Just it was the feeling of this dovish stance, but just a feeling of a dovish stance, not any dovish decision. That's why the market's reactions also was very, very limited. As it was the central bank decision in United Kingdom, we cannot expect that this decision to make a big changes in other markets, but the biggest market that it may somehow affect it is the gold market. With the dovish signal, it has slightly negative reactions, falling from 4,020 to $4,010. But again, it's the central bank decision in the United Kingdom. It's not a decision that can change or affect other markets much. Yeah, generally there was a decision. So generally, in short, central bank had no change in the policies and interest rates, but they had a slight signal of dovish signal, as the more voters now expecting, believing in a rate cut, as the inflation is under control and is already picked. And that was the central bank decision and market reaction in the United Kingdom. Hope it was useful for you.